will come in. Perfect. So, good morning, everyone, and welcome. I'm Sarah, the current PRO for Liasa IGBIS, your interest group for bibliographic standards. On behalf of the IGBIS committee, I thank you for joining us today for this, our 7th conversation with a leader in the library and information profession, and our very first event for 2023. Through hearing from past and current leaders as they tell us about their journeys and insights, we hope to inspire and encourage fellow library and information professionals to take up leadership positions in their communities. This morning, we have the honor of spending an hour with Mr. Mandla Ntombela. Before I welcome Mandla, I have some quick housekeeping notes and we'll run through this morning's program. These sessions are recorded and uploaded to the Liasa News YouTube channel, so you're welcome to revisit and share this conversation. Just a heads up that there will also be a group photo at the end of the hour. You are, of course, welcome to keep your camera off if you don't wish to participate, but it's always lovely to see everyone. During Mr. Ntombela's presentation, we do appreciate it if attendees can keep their microphones muted until the questions and answer session, which will be moderated by the IGBIS Secretary, Ingrid Henrici. Please send us your questions in the chat box, or you can raise your hand and we will call on you to speak. After the Q&A, our IGBIS Chair-elect, Musha Moriana, will be closing the session. We will also be posting a link in the chat box to the feedback form. IGBIS really appreciates hearing back from attendees to gain their impressions of these events. IGBIS is very pleased to be introducing Mandla Ntombela this morning. Mr. Ntombela has filled several vital leadership positions in the library and information profession over the years. He served as Liasa president during the 2016 to 2018 term, following which he held the presidentship of the African Library and Information Association from 2019 through 2021. He's currently serving on the IFLA governing body. Mandla's various roles in the library and information profession reflects his dedication to provision of vital information services to communities with diverse needs, for example, with posts and Msunduzi Municipal Library Services, the South African Library for the Blind, and recently as Chief Sales Officer with Nevada LMS. So without giving any more away, I welcome to the virtual floor, Mr. Mandla Ntombela.
Thank you, Sarah, and good morning to all the colleagues, the information classifiers, information organizers, information managers, Huyamore, Sanbonani, Botani Bawetu, Ndaba Mshanda, Mbakurumandebele, Tiro, Chobela, Nemaste, Sanbonani Molin. I know that some will say we left out our languages. I'm grateful to have this opportunity to talk to you colleagues this morning. And I thank the leadership of IGBIS to take this initiative under the banner of Liasa, and then to give us the platform as leaders who have led the sector before, and then and they want us to share our stories and the journeys of how was it, and then what are the challenges and experiences that we had during our time of leading this wonderful organization, this wonderful structure, the professional body of librarians in the country, Liasa. So I'm happy to be part of this initiative. Colleagues, I'll talk to you about a few areas. I'm trying to open my presentation here. Let me see this. Yes, it's right. Let me see. It's not moving from my side. I don't know why. I'm trying just to move it. Let me stop it and bring it back again. Now it's on. I think you can see it. Colleagues, the
sorry,
introduction.
Mandla.
Yes.
I'm not sure. I'm not seeing the presentation on my side. Is it visible to anyone else?
No, it's not visible.
Let me see. Okay, I'm sharing my screen with you guys. If it's not, we'll have to take the second option. Let's see. Is it on now? Do you see it now?
Yes. We are seeing the range of PowerPoint slides.
Yes.
Okay. Now, okay, colleagues, let us move. I want to start on the area of born to lead. We always say there are born leaders, there are leaders that are created by situations, there are leaders that become for a temporal sort of measure, and then we'll look at that, and then from my perspective, and then at the area of my involvement. Educational background, leadership roles, work experience, leadership during crisis situations, the role of library association in the leadership development, especially within LIASA. Leadership style, I'll talk about that one, leadership versus manager, leadership quotes, and then I'll allow you to come in and ask your questions and get the answers as well, if there are answers. I want to start with this definition, colleagues, that leadership is about to influence, inspire, and help others become their best selves, building their skills and achieving goals along the way. You don't have to be a president, a minister, DG, DDG, CEO, director, priest, pastor, manager, librarian, archivist, or even a team leader to be a leader. In your own corner where you are, you can begin to show your leadership development of skills. Let me talk a little bit on the area of born to lead. From my early age, as young as 6 years, 5 years, I began to follow a lot of leadership initiatives at that age. When there are traditional sort of healers or izangoma in the area, I used to see the lead one, and then that is like sort of in charge of all the others, because that was one thing that was popular in the area to see that happening around. When I see the one that is leading, my edge to be to follow that one that is leading. And I wanted to lead as well and create sort of the group, and then that will follow that. When there's a wedding and then there's a person who's leading the dance and all of that, I'll try as well to imitate. And then so I had that edge of leading in everything, but I did not know why it was happening. And then within my primary education and high school, I got a lot of leadership roles that were given to me by the educators, the principal of the school. And then let me just make an example. At my primary sort of school, they used to give me some of the roles like leading the class in sort of things that are taking place. And then on the other side, collecting during the choral sort of choir, the choir time when we go for music rehearsals. And then they'll ask me to bring everything. And then in the morning, I'll have to collect the things that are utilized. And then if something goes wrong, I'll be the first person to be asked. And then, but the role of the library started to come in there as well, because at primary, where the books were stored, they will ask me to go and get certain books and all of that, and then if they are required for the class at that time. At high school, I was given a role of running a library of the high school. And that now it brings something that it was an indication that I'm called to be in libraries, but I was not realizing my call because I was not even familiar. We grew up in the environment where there are not many libraries, and then to see a library, you have to be in town. As a person who was born in Alexandra Township, and then spending a little bit of time in the north part of Johannesburg, and then where my mom was working as a domestic worker. So I would spend a lot of time in the library and get sort of a little bit of understanding how the library is structured and how the library is working. So during my high school time, it assisted me a little bit to understand that, and then trying to follow that thinking, especially around standard 8, and then when that role became very strong at the school. But during that primary, the early age, and then there were science that were coming up, and then even at high school, I would be given sort of leading roles in different areas. I won't just get into that because it's a lot. And then in tech, leading as well in different spheres, and then come post-matric. I finished my matric. I went to Joburg from Ladysmith, where I finished it at Mandla High School. And then when I was in Joburg, back to my family, to my mom and my dad, I started, because it was like sort of a break year between varsity, college, with the college and the matric. So I spent time going to the library. Ultimately, I got a work. I worked as a security guard for 3 months before I went to Bible College. It was towards the end of 1993. And then in 1994, I started my Bible College studies. And then I'll narrate more. Even when I got into the Bible College as well, I was given a role of leading the library. So that experience carried with me all the years, from primary, given the role of dealing with the things in the storeroom where the books were stored, and then high school as well. The similar thing is happening. Now I'm in the Bible College, and then I'm given that role of running the library as well under the librarian that was in the college. At the university as well, a lot of leadership roles came through, becoming the Housecom president, and then serving in different structures and societies. I'll narrate a little bit when we carry on. And representing as well in the LIS, the class, and then in terms of the faculty dealing with the issues that were touching on the faculty of where LIS was allocated. And then sitting in the interviews of the lecturers, some of the professors during their interviews, I was there, and then when they were appointed. So as I indicated, matric, class representative, moving to student Christian movement, fellowship at the varsity, house president at Malhepe Res in 1997, and then leading as well in the School of Theology, the SRC that was there, and then becoming the secretary of SASCO, the student sort of society adversity, dealing with the issues, the political issues. So where one began to understand as well a lot of political sort of things that are taking place all over. And then during my postgraduate in information studies, class representative again in 2000, then I went in to be a pastor at the Pentecostal Holiness Church of Southern Africa, Southern Conference of Southern Africa, and then in 2001. And then, as I indicated, the representation of the faculty in the faculty. I worked with another church as well. I became the deputy chairperson for CPC, where I am even now, which is Christian Benevolence Center. And then I was involved with community developments, like when you look at the rural women, MTN Rural Women Entrepreneurship Program, I was part of that, leading that process in Pietermaritzburg, Midlands Unemployed, where we are bringing together the unemployed graduates to come together. And then moving on to Midlands Community Builder, and then structures of the political structures, Black Engineers, Scientists, a trust. I was there in the ANC, a CAFI member, which is the program that we did. It was dealing with issues of training in the whole of Africa, where we were in partnership with different sort of structures. And then becoming the chair of Truman Makubane Foundation, which even now I'm still the chair of it, that was the Truman Makubane was the gentleman that was in jail with the former presidents, President Nelson Mandela and President Kgalema Motlanthe in Robben Island, was sharing the cell with the President Motlanthe. And then after a training committee leading that structure in the continent for the training of the librarians. And then, but I matriculated in Ladysmith, that is Manengeza High School, did my diploma in theology in 1996 at ANGP Bible College. And then from there, I moved to UKZN, where I started with the degree in Bachelor of Theology. And then where the change came, colleagues, that's where the change began. When after finishing my degree in theology, before going for my postgraduate diploma in library and information science, the change, when one is saying I became a librarian by default, I always say that because my aim for me was to become a priest and carry on with pastoral care and all of those sort of areas. But because I wanted to write a book, I thought the library and information science department would assist me in terms of assisting me on how to structure the book and all of that. So when this came, I decided to take it. When I was in there for the first semester, I won't lie, colleagues, I was a bit worried that, am I taking the right thing, looking at the cataloging, classification, and I'm saying, I want the structure to write a book, how to write a book. But these things are becoming more complicated now. So it was my concern during that time that maybe I'm taking a wrong direction. And then in June of that first semester, I passed all my courses. And then we were given sort of the time to visit libraries. That's where the real love of working in the library started coming in when we visited the libraries, looking at the Natal Society Library, the museums around the University of Natal by then, now it's KZN. So, and then that love of libraries began to be strong than sort of the roles that were given to me before. So, and then I moved to the honors in library and information science. And then by then I was already working with certain areas which will come up later. And then, but what became a very strong change, it's when, in terms of the passion and the love in libraries, it's in 2005 when we did the non-degree purpose course, which was arranged through ULIASA and then from the Carnegie funding. We went to the University of Illinois in US. Then we were exposed in different leaderships, libraries and everything, including library associations. That's where the love, that's when, because it was my first year as well of becoming a member of LIASA. And from there, I did not regret to be a librarian because I felt the passion and the oomph of moving things in the sector. So when I finished my master's, that was 2006, and then I did public relations with the University of Cape Town. UCT, and then a National Certificate of Municipal Finance Management with LGC. That was like last year. Colleagues coming to the leadership roles after this educational background. And then currently I'm serving on the IFLA Risk and Finance Committee from 2021 to 2023. I am, as Sarah already indicated, that I'm an IFLA Governing Board member 2021 to 2023. I was AFLIA, I'm still in AFLIA Governing Council 2020 to 2023, which is ending in this year in May. And then President of AFLIA 2019 to 2021. And then I served on the National Council of Libraries and Information Services 2019 to 2021 to 2022. And then a Vice President of AFLIA 2017 to 2019. Vice Liasa President 2016 to 2018. Chair of AFLIA Training Academy 2016 to 2019. Chair of Public Library and Community Libraries 2015 to 2017. Liasa President, which is the role that was very exciting, colleagues, and then with a lot of challenges, leading the Liasa at that time, becoming the president-elect 2014 to 2016, working with Ms. Hamidzi Molawa, former president as well of Liasa. And then I carried on serving on the National Council, Enclaves, and then a board member of International Network Imaging Library Innovators, INELI Sub-Saharan African Program, 2015 to 2018, Sally Trust, board member, 2015 to 2018, Skexal Focus Group, 2018 to 2019, and the National Library and Information Policy that developed the policy, the National Library Policy. I was the member, the reference group member in 2017 when Prof. Kondo was leading it. The ASA National Executive Committee member as Public Relations Officer in 2012 to 2014, under Ujala being the president at that time. National Department of Arts and Culture Legal Deposit Committee, LDC, member 2006 to 2008, 2010 to 2013, 2013, and then to 2016, 2019 to 2022. Serving in the Liasa Rep Council, and then under Mayor Rachel More, 28 to 2020. And then after that, becoming the convener for branches and interest group in 2010 to 2022 under Mayor Naomi Hasbrook. Executive branch member, chairperson KZN Province branch. That was 2008 to 2010, 2010. And then executive branch member, deputy chairperson. By then we did not have a chair elect. And then that was in KZN 2006 to 2008. So colleagues, I think all of this shows that one was not parachuted to the positions of leadership, but worked thorough in different structures. And then I've been a member of Liasa from 2005 till today, and then within two branches, KZN in 2005 to 2020, and then EC from 2020 to today. Next year it will change, this year it will change. Member for Public and Community Library Interest Group, PEGLIC, 2005 till to date. And then I might be considering as well IPIS soon and as my second interest group. I've been having ICT all along and research as well. Currently, as already indicated, I'm with Nevada LMS as Chief Sales Officer from 2022 till to date. And then the South Chief Executive Officer in 2020 to 2022. Msunduzi Municipality Library Services, I was the director from 2012 to 2020. eThekwini Municipality Libraries and Heritage District Manager 2011 to 2012. Msunduzi Municipality as a Principal Librarian 2004 to 2011. Natal Society Library Services within the library that was called the Lambert Wilson, which was the section dealing with children's services, the high school and primary and high school learners, and then 2003 to 2004, before the Natal Society was taken over by the Msunduzi Municipality. University of Natal, I worked as an assistant librarian 2002 to 2003, before appointed by Natal Society. University of Natal assistant researcher in the School of Psychology 2000 to 2001. That's where I was exposed and traveling in all the provinces and see the beauty of South Africa. And then before that, I was the sub-warden. While that was happening, I was the sub-warden as well for Malhebe residents, 2000 to 2001. Colleagues, let me come to leadership during crisis situations. During Carnegie Leadership Grant, we had a lot of people who have been working in libraries for more than 16 years, 20 years, 15 years, 10 years, but without a qualification. During that time when that opportunity was open, where I tried to look at a group of people who were having this within eThekwini municipality, and we managed to assist a lot of library assistants now who are librarians, and then with the assistance of Ms. Fiona Boyle at UKZN, and then we started that process. It was a crisis because it was very difficult to get those people through. But ultimately we won. And although some people will always say, where is your first degree? And then because it's like they were looking at the number of years they've worked, the studies, short courses that they've done and everything, and qualify them to do a postgraduate diploma after doing the bridging courses that will lead to that. So it was a great initiative that benefited many of our people in the sector to become librarians. And then while the other provinces as well were doing sort of different things. Resolving conflicts amongst LAS sector colleagues within the country, region, continent, and globally, which some of them will make you not even to sleep at night when you think about them, because they were threatening, some of them, life-threatening. Why I'm saying that, because if you talk of an issue that will make somebody to lose their job, and you want to attach, because some will come with big accusations dealing with those issues, and then it was not an easy task. And in most cases, it will remain with me while I'm the youngest to them during those times. And then they are more seniors, but I'll be the person to carry that burden and deal with the situation until we resolve. And then some of them, you just become part because you take decisions collectively. And then some of them that are very difficult to carry. COVID-19 and load shedding in SA, that happened while I was at Msunduzi. It was shocking for all of us. We were worried about people who were dying left and right, and then how can we manage that situation? But we did very well because we had a plan with the team to work on it. And then even when I was joining a South African library at the time, we had sort of the plans that we put forward. And then load shedding, colleagues, it's still a problem. As we speak now, we might see everything going down because it's the challenge of the country. But wherever I am as a leader, I always try to push for the other sources of electricity to be there, and then so that we don't go through that every time there is load shedding. So in Msunduzi, I made it a point that all libraries do have generators, and then so that we don't fall into that where the services are being cut for our users due to load shedding. And then with the SALV as well, I got it generator there, and then so it was all covered. So we did not have that challenge. Adapting to work politics, colleagues, it's another issue, and which many of you should be looking at as well, because the politics, every institution, every work environment, it's got its own politics. And then as a leader or a person who's having ambitions of becoming a leader in the sector, you should know that you will never find an institution without a politics. Even it's small, it's big, it's medium, and then you find that there's politics of that institution. But what I hated the most, even now I still hate it, it's gossiping in libraries. Not in libraries, working environment, and that is one thing that I don't like, because it destroys the character of a person. It destroys the zeal of some colleagues. There are colleagues that now can't achieve what they wanted to achieve because of gossips that do take place in our working environment. And then I know that it's not for all colleagues in the sector, but in every institution, you find that there's politics of that institution. So what have made me not to be swallowed or swamped by the politics of institutions is that I try always to stay above the politics and remain calm and deal with issues as they come in front of me, but not going around trying to pick up from gossips, because there are leaders that are very subjective. When they hear something about somebody, they don't listen to the second side. They only take from one person, and then that's it. If that person comes and says so and so is saying this and that, and then that so and so will be looked badly by the leader without sort of being objective. So I think as leaders in the sector, as people who want to develop leadership in the sector, we need to be very objective when we deal with issues coming up from staff and people that we are working with. Colleagues, the role of library association in leadership development, LIASA. For me, I'll say, if you don't take initiatives within LIASA, you'll never grow, because the growth of every member starts from your local library, from local library to your branch, which is your province, from your province to national. And then for me, all began with LIASA. All begins with your branch or local library, your association. In this case, we talk of LIASA. If you are not a member of the association, I'm worried about you, that you'll never see the light that many saw. And then the leaders in the library, most of them, a leader that is not a member of the library association, in most cases, like a dead leader. But a leader that is effective and working hard in the library association is always known because of the value that is there. Because we are not only adding the value to your institution, but the value to others. There are things that we initiated. I remember that I was part of, and I was one of the youngest people when the grant, that is the conditional grant that is assisting a lot of libraries, we're discussing it with Prof a few years back before she passed on. And then talking about it when we're sitting in the hotel, and then it was immediate after my return from the Carnegie leadership. You know, we engaged, and then the minister was coming in, and a lot of seniors in the sector, Professor Manaka, Dr. Domini, and many others, and Dr. John Sebe were there. And then that process started. And then today, it's a big benefit of the sector in public libraries. But if we remain behind and did not become part of the process, we wouldn't be benefiting the country. And then it was a great initiative taken at that time. And then I'm happy that I was part of those people. from the onset, and then when it was happening, through the leadership of Dr. Parujola. Without becoming LIASA member, my leadership roles would have not been realized or noticed and be further supported. So I became a leader on my own sort of corner, but LIASA exposed me to all kinds of development in the sector, the trends that are taking place, and that worked for me. The global understanding of allied sector is through LIASA, because if I did not have that background from LIASA, I wouldn't be understanding what is happening globally. And then the International Advocacy Program, IAP, and then exposed us to many of the challenges that are faced by libraries, and to know libraries better than being in the corner somewhere. Continental involvement through AFRIA, it was beautiful, and the leaders that one met, and then you know, they shaped the thinking in different ways. Global involvement in IFLA, as I'm currently involved there, and then LIASA is still up in the list. So colleagues, when that opportunity, the time for elections come, and many things are happening in the sector, please join and be part of those developments, so that you can point back and say, when these things were taking place in the sector 20 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, I was part of it. And let's share information. Information sharing, I think, is what assisted me. And then because it kills the working environment to work in silos. And then the silos mentality is not a good one. Leadership styles. My leadership style, colleagues, it's within the teams, community development, team leadership. That's where I'm sitting at. My heart is always there to see communities benefiting when it comes to information services. So wherever I go, I want to make sure that organizational systems are in their order, so that they can talk to the vision that we want to develop. The organizational structure, it's correct, so that it can assist us to take the services to the people that we want to serve, to our patrons. Organizational policies, to develop and work on the policies that will take us to another level, because you cannot do everything, but if your policies are not talking to what you are doing, you are not covered in what you are doing. And then the critical area, it's employee skills, and then developing, bringing more of new ways of dealing with things, and then introducing sort of the new things, the new trends in the sector, and then employees being skilled. And then if one can start sort of mentioning of what has happened in that area, I remember that there are institutions where you come in, you are being counted like 2 or 3 people with honors degree. But when I leave those institutions, in most cases, there will be more people, and then some even above me going for PhDs. That makes me sleep well at night. A leader doesn't compete with his team or her team. And then you allow people, even if they go above your level, as a leader, you get happy with that, because at the end of the day, they add value to what we are doing. So teamwork approach is very important. Colleagues, I want to talk about this area of leadership versus manager dynamics, because many of people, they confuse these two. And when a person is a manager, thinks that he's a leader. And a person, when is leading, thinks like it's a manager. But when you talk of a leader innovates, and then the manager administers. A leader is an original, and the manager is a copy, because it's copying whatever that needs to be implemented. The leader develops, and the manager maintains. The leader focuses on people, and then the manager focuses on systems and the products. The leader inspires trust, and the manager relies on control. It's always controlling, because it's there to control. A long-range view that the leader has, which is like sort of long-term thinking, then the manager is sitting on the short-range view that we need money now, let's get the money in the institution as well, but not the long-term. Ask what and why, and then while the manager asks how and when, because they need results now. As information services organizers, leaders, members of representative council, let us enlarge our territory or mission to engage and protect the future of alliance workers and its users. That is our role, colleagues, in leadership sort of structures, wherever we are. Let's make sure that the alliance sector is benefiting and our users, the patrons, are benefiting from whatever is in front of us. I want to end by quoting these three leadership quotes that kept me, that are important to me. One, an effective leader or leadership is not about making good speeches or being liked. Leadership is defined by results, not attributes. You can be a good English speaker, French speaking person, or a good sort of Zulu or Sotho, Setswana, or whatever language. You can be good in language, but leadership is not defined by that. It's defined by the attributes, the results that you bring. And the second quote from these are the two leaders that I've read, went through their videos. My leadership is based on these two that I'm quoting now. To John Maxwell, Dr. John Maxwell, when he says leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. You just influence your teams, the people who are working with you, everyone that is around you. You influence in a certain direction that is tested to be a right direction. And the last one, who passed on in 2014, and at college, I used to follow everything about him, and because his leadership was inspiring me, and it's one that I wanted to depict and utilize. He says leadership is the capacity to influence others through inspiration, motivated by passion, generated by vision. If there's no vision, there's no leadership. Produced by a conviction, you are convicted, and then there is a conviction within you that leads you to work in the sector. Ignited by a purpose. Leadership without purpose or vision is a dead leadership. That is from Dr. Miles Monroe. I've been quoting these colleagues, those who have been in the presentations that I did during my term as LIASA president. I used to bring this picture at the end of my presentation that says, you can look around and see nothing on top of the rock or in the island and see that beyond this is the end. I believe that if many people looked at that in that way, we wouldn't be having flights going to different countries, because they would say, we cannot reach Africa from Europe. We cannot reach Africa from West Africa. And we cannot reach Southern Africa from West Africa. And it will remain like working in different sort of areas without that connecting. But through the vision that can come when you think beyond the limitations that you see in front of you, and then you can change the world. You can take your leadership to another level. So this saying is attached to what I was showing up there, that may you see sunshine where others see shadows, and opportunities where others see obstacles. That has been the quote that kept me going. Leadership of IGBIS and the colleagues. Thank you. Ngiyabonga inkosi. Ngiyaleboga. Thank you. Mercy, gracious. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mandla. That was very interesting and inspiring. We now go over to the question and answer session. Are there any questions? Does anyone like to ask Mandla any questions or clarity on what he has spoken about? This is your opportunity. So raise your hands or you can write it in the chat.
I see Nikki has her hand up, Ingrid.
Oh,
Yes, Nikki.
my president.
My president. Thank you,
Nice.
colleagues. My president, I could not allow this opportunity to pass. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts. I worked alongside you and I learned a lot from your leadership abilities and the way you exercised your leadership, but also one of your greatest gifts is your humanity and your kindness in leadership without diluting the leadership in any way. Now I want to applaud you for that because you've been very modest today in your talk about those qualities of leadership that you've also been exercising. But my question to you, notwithstanding that, my question to you, Mandla, is what is the future now? You shared with us your journey up to this point in terms of leadership, but would you give us insights as to what you see for yourself in the next 10 years or 5 years or whatever period you like? How do you continue to exercise your leadership influence on Liasa beyond what you are doing now? Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki. Ingrid, are you ready for me to respond?
Yes, you can respond.
Okay, you are in charge. It's this platform. You say no, I don't allow the presidents to talk to each other here. I'm so grateful, Nikki, to see you. I'm happy to hear as well what you are saying. You know, we work in very challenging times sometimes, and then as colleagues, to hear this, it's really comforting. And then coming to your question in relation to what is the what do I see where do I see my involvement in the future from now, and then especially in Liasa. I think Liasa still have a big role. There is an issue of restructuring that is not yet put to full action. There are a lot of developments that Liasa should be taking, and things that we discussed, some of them in the early 20s, 20 to 20s, yes, and then and things that are being discussed now during the term of Nazim, the president. Where some of them were discussed, and a lot of presentations were done during your term, Nikki, and during the term of all the other presidents. But what the role that I see now for us is to make sure that we don't lose the status of being the professional body. And we make it a point as well that Liasa penetrate fully the space of the legislative body in the country, and it's not left only in the department, and then to deal with those developments. And then I think we should be part of it and make sure that the sector benefits from that. So my role in all of this, I still feel that in most of the boards, the structures that will be leading these processes, I want to engage and be part of it, because I was there during the Transformation Charter. I've been there during the National Library Policy, and then the conditional grant. So I still feel it's not enough. And the grants, when you look at it now, they are being cut down a bit by bit, and we need to modify more. Motivate the treasurer, motivate the departments, and then the Department of Education, Department of Arts and Culture, and others that are involved in the library sector. So those are the areas that one see now, but not only there, to keep on pushing on the global arena. in terms of the library issues. In the continent, colleagues, there are areas that their libraries are not at par with others. And then to give support in those libraries to see how can we assist. There's still a lot. And then so supporting these structures, the ASA, AFLA, IFLA, it's still part of me. And then I don't think I'll lose it at any time. It's sitting in my heart. Thank you, Annie.
Thank you, Mandla. Nikki, anything else from your side?
No, I just want to remark that the late Claire Walker said to me at the 2017 LIASA conference on the Thursday, the gala evening, we had quite a crisis, Mandla. You may remember that the whole setup for the gala dinner could not happen because the hosts had mixed up the bookings. But at any rate, you remember that, Ingrid? Were you there?
I wasn't, unfortunately, not there.
Anyway, so, obviously it was a time of crisis, but we got through it and we arrived at this hulking big marquee and the band was playing, Dr. Victor was playing, and people were arriving and people were getting the LIASA little buckets with a little plant in it because it was the anniversary, the 20th anniversary celebration as well. And Mandla was teasing me, or I was teasing Mandla, or both of them, and Claire turned to me and she said, I've never seen a president and a president-elect get on and work so well together. Do you remember that, Mandla?
I remember it.
Yes.
I remember
And
it
so,
very well.
yes. So that in itself is a leadership trait as well that you spoke to, Mandla, is we don't beat down the people who are coming up because we are insecure, or we don't undermine them. And that is what you didn't do. You supported me fully in my journey as well. So again, I thank you for that, and for the people listening around the conversation about leadership. These are exhibited traits that we're talking about. Thank you, Ingrid. Nothing more from me. Thank you, Mandla.
Sure.
Thank you very much, Madam President, immediate past President.
I see there is a message in the chat. I'll just read it. I'm not sure who it's from. It doesn't say who it's from, but it just says there, thank you, Mandla, for a powerful presentation. I'm also glad that I did once meet you when you were doing rounds around the libraries in the Free State. Your efforts in securing grants to further our studies enlist 100%. All the best for the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ingrid, on that one, there's something that I want to add, that the colleagues in the Free State, some of them, they don't know how much LIASA has impacted in their lives. When we were there in the Free State, after that, there was a big crisis that came up where the certain leaders in the province wanted to implement the decision that says any person can be, because they saw the money for the conditional grant and the only opportunity that was there is to appoint librarians. So they were saying any person who's got a qualification, either in electricity as an electrician or a BSc or whatever, should become a librarian. So those posts should be advertised within the province and the people appointed. We took I led sort of that initiative that we are saying no to that, and we said no, we cannot accept that. The profession cannot be undermined, and we won because ultimately they did not appoint those people because it undermines the profession to take a person from any sector and say you can go and run the library because you are qualified. We cannot be taken as librarians to run the surgeries as doctors. So you can't do that. And then we cannot become electricians because we are having a librarian's qualification. So we fought against that. We managed to win. And then many of the librarians were appointed. They don't even know that there are people who fought for them to get the position. They just saw the post advertised and then they got it. So we appreciate the colleagues from the state. Thank you.
Okay, are there any more questions? Colleagues, there's your opportunity. I don't see any hands.
Yes, I think the colleagues, they've got it all fine, and
Yeah.
they don't have more questions.
Yeah, looks like it.
Yes.
Okay, colleagues, as there's no more questions, I'm going to hand over to my other colleague, Mercia. Mercia, will you take it from here?
Good morning, colleagues. My name is Meshia Mariana, and my role today is just to pass a message of appreciation. I would like to thank you, colleagues, for attending this session with us this morning. Many thanks and appreciation goes to Mandla for taking time out of his busy schedule, for sharing his story and knowledge with us this morning. Mandla's career progression demonstrates how starting from humble beginnings can lead to greater heights, from leading local organizations, LIASA, to the continent, AFLIA, as well as globally, IFLA. Listening to you talking about your leadership journey was indeed inspirational. Thank you very much, Mandla. I would also like to thank the IGBIS committee for organizing this event. Lastly, I would like to thank the LIASA National Office for their technical support. Colleagues, I would like to ask you to switch on your camera so that we can take a picture, but only those who are comfortable doing so. If you are not, you are welcome not to switch on your camera.
I see some of the colleagues that we work together with. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
So
Lebo,
yeah.
will you kindly assist us in taking the
I think
picture?
you have to do it on your side.
Yes.
I'm struggling with network. I think you have to do it on your side. So arrows kicked off at some point. Yeah. Can you please maybe try and do it on your side?
Okay.
That's not a problem. I will try and take a screenshot. Okay. Okay, is that everybody? Looks like everyone.
We're all up here.
Okay, smile. And I think we'll do one more.
Thank you.
Okay, there we go.
Okay,
It's
thank
like
you very
everyone.
much, Sarah. Thank you.
It's like Sarah took 20 pictures.
Okay, thank you, colleagues, for attending. Take care and have a